How's it going, everyone? I hope you all had a happy new year and your 2024 is off to a good start. I took a much needed break over the holidays, so I haven't been posting for a while, so this is my first video in 2024. There's been a lot of behind the scenes stuff going on, and there's going to be a lot of new content coming this year, so I'm super excited for all the new stuff to come in the future. But for today's video, I want to talk about the first major release of 2024, and it's Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. Now, I was provided an early access review code by Ubisoft, so I've been playing it for about a week now. So these are my early impressions slash basically a full review of the game. Now, I've not fully beaten the game yet. I think I still have just a couple of boss fights to go, but I've played the majority of the game and I have a pretty good idea of how I feel about it. So I just wanted to give you guys my quick thoughts about the game. Now, I do want to say here at the beginning that I knew absolutely nothing about Prince of Persia going into this. I didn't play the previous games. You know, I had to look up videos to see what the game was even about and what style of game it was, because this is a 2D platformer, and I don't really play too many 2D platformers either. You know, I grew up playing them. I used to play like the old Star Wars games on like the original Super Nintendo. I grew up playing Mario and stuff, but you know, there's so many 2D games that they're just not really my thing. I kind of grew out of them, but I'll play one every so often, but they're not really my cup of tea. I don't really dislike them, but you know, I don't really like them either. I'm just kind of in the middle. So for 2024, one of the things I want to do with my new year is I want to try new games that I normally wouldn't play, and Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown fits that criteria. So I wanted to play this. I wanted to give it a chance and see, you know, why so many people like these 2D platformers so much. And I gotta say, I'm glad that I did, because I really enjoyed this game. It was a ton of fun, but I definitely feel like they put a modern twist on this. It kind of feels open world in a way. And one of the things I like the most about this game is that I felt that there was a good balance between killing a bunch of small enemies and boss fights every so often, and there's a decent amount of jumping puzzles. Some of them are extremely difficult, some of them are, you know, just kind of thrown in your way to kind of slow you down a little bit. But with a game like this, it has a lot of jumping puzzles. Obviously there's going to be a bit of a skill gap. Some people are definitely going to be turned off by the amount of jumping puzzles. Like, if you're new to gaming, I could see a lot of people really struggling with some of the puzzles. And one of the features that I really appreciated was in the accessibility options, they actually give you the option to turn on the ability to just skip over some of the harder jumping puzzles. So if you're a fan of combat, but you just absolutely suck at jumping puzzles, or you're just really tired of doing the same puzzle over and over and over again, you can turn this option on, which I made sure to do, because some of the jumping puzzles are placed in front of boss fights, and if you die to a boss fight over and over and over, then you're going to have to do that same jumping puzzle every time you die. So if you die like 20 times to a boss, that's 20 times you would have to do that jumping puzzles. So I made sure to turn that option on, and it saved me a ton of headache, and I'm just really glad that they added that feature. The boss fights, I really enjoyed the boss fights. They were a lot harder than I was expecting. Some of them are just straight up brutal. Honestly, some of the bosses were reminding me of like Elden Ring bosses in terms of like difficulty. Like, some of them were just straight up killing me over and over and over, and I had to go back, farm some resources, level up my character, and then come back to the boss fight later on a little bit stronger to then beat the boss encounter. So the bosses in this game are no pushover. Now, I was playing through this game on one of the harder difficulties. I didn't pick the hardest one, I picked the one before the hardest one. That way I could enjoy the game, but I wasn't, you know, stressing out too much while I was playing it. But another thing I really love about the boss fights and the cutscenes is that this game likes to switch between 2D and 3D animations. So if you're in like a major storyline boss encounter, then it will switch to like a 3D cutscene, and the animations and the combat style and just everything makes it feel like you're kind of living in an anime. So if you're a huge fan of fighting animes like Dragon Ball or Naruto or something, I feel like you're going to like the combat and the design of of the cutscenes and stuff. It's just, it feels so cool, and you feel like you're so powerful when you do these fights and these encounters. And I think they just nailed the cutscenes and the transitions perfectly. They did a really great job with that. And the overall flow of the game itself, I feel like they did a great job too. Like, you start off with very little skills and abilities, and it's just a very basic game. You have like the attack buttons and the jump buttons, and then as you progress, you unlock new abilities, you get more talismans that give you different powers and upgrades. You can upgrade your weapons to make them do more damage, and by the end of the game, you have just a full arsenal of weapons and abilities. Like, you can teleport, and you can jump long distances, and you can like run against walls, and you can unlock a bow and like a boomerang ability, and you can like throw things and shoot things at people. And then there's special abilities that you can pull off if you get a high enough combo meter, and you like build up your meter at the bottom of the screen. You can like hold in the triggers and activate a special ability, and those do a just crap ton of damage, which is really great at taking out bosses or large groups of enemies. And I feel like they did just a really good job with the pacing, because it felt like the game was at a perfect pace where you're constantly getting new upgrades and getting something new to keep pushing you forward. There wasn't very many places in my playthrough where it got stale, where, you know, I wasn't getting anything new, I wasn't getting any new upgrades, and it kept on a pretty steady pace throughout my entire playthrough, where I was constantly getting new stuff, and, you know, it kept it interesting. And then when it comes to, you know, complaints about the game, I only have like one major complaint, and it's that the map can get a bit confusing. There's a lot of backtracking in this game, and I think that the developers realize this when they're in their playtesting or whatever, because they give you the option to hit like down on the D-pad, and you can take an in-game screenshot, and then that screenshot will appear on your map. So like, say there's a puzzle and you can't get past it, you can take a screenshot of it and then look at your map and be like, oh, that's where that, you know, puzzle is that I couldn't get past. Now I have a new ability. I can now go back to this location and unlock the puzzle or the door or the secret chest or whatever. The problem with that, though, is that the map is so big and there's so much backtracking, and there's like tons of secret hallways and hidden doors and all kinds of stuff that it's very easy to get lost and to like lose your sense of like where you're at, and have I been here before? Have I already seen this? Did I beat this puzzle? Like, I wish the map was a little bit more linear and straightforward and kind of just pushed you in one direction, because all the backtracking and stuff that you have to do can get a bit confusing. I know I've spent a couple hours just getting completely lost at some points, and that's honestly my only complaint, is that the map's so big that, you know, it's a little confusing and it's easy to get lost. But other than that, I think the game is really good. It definitely caught me off guard, and for someone that doesn't play this style of game very often, I definitely enjoyed it. I thought it was a ton of fun. The major highlight for me was the boss fights. I absolutely loved the design of some of the bosses, and they were fun and engaging and had different mechanics, and they all felt unique from one another, and I just absolutely loved the boss designs in this game. So if you are a fan of boss fights in video games or puzzles, I think you're going to love this game as well. And if you're like me and you don't play too many of these 2D platformers, try it out. Trust me, I think you're going to enjoy it, especially if you like anime. If you like anime, I think you're going to like this game. But that is going to do it for my thoughts on Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. I definitely enjoyed it, and it has my seal of approval. You can definitely tell that they let the developers take their time with this one and make a solid, good game. And I think this is a great start for gaming in 2024. But let me know what you guys think down in the comment section down below. Let me know if you guys are going to be checking out Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. If you're new here to the channel, then consider hitting the subscribe button and giving this video a thumbs up. It's greatly appreciated and it helps me out in the algorithm. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you all in the next video.